Hey guys, it's Ariel. So today I'm actually it's basically like a redo of a video I filmed probably 2012 when I started doing videos. Um, by the way, side note before I get into the actual thing, it blows my mind that I've already been making videos nearly 2 years already. And that dawned on me the other day when I was trying to show somebody an old video I made and was going back and looking and realized I've been making videos since I think the first one was actually in April of 2012. And I'm like, oh my god, I hadn't realized it's been that long. And I'm still going to continue it even though it hasn't, I don't know, nobody seems to care, but it's fun to me and it gives me something to do. So that's why I'm going to continue it. Anyways, on with what I was actually going to say. I'm doing a redo of a more detailed version, I should say, of how I got into music, because I don't remember what all I said in the original video, but I realized when I watched it back that I really didn't talk about stuff as much, and I knew I needed to. I really did. Because here's the thing. I'm gonna just go ahead and recap the other video that I remember, so it's out there and you guys understand if you didn't see the other one. I was not really into rock music at all until I was about 14. In fact, I hated it pretty much, except for like a song here and there. And didn't really fully get into rock music until I was about 16. I started in between 14 and 16. I was branching out and it was working, but it was slowly. Before I really got into rock music, I only really liked pop. I know you guys can shun me. Actually, no, you can't shun me because you shouldn't do that to someone. But I didn't really listen to any rock bands. Honestly, I was obsessed with the Jonas Brothers until I was 16, by the way. In fact, I went to go see the Jonas Brothers, and then about 6 months later, I think it was, saw my first rock concert, which was 3 Days Grace and Breaking Benjamin. There's a video about it. I'll link in the description box. But I didn't really like too many bands. I knew who 3 Days Grace was, and when I really needed to get into music, I turned to them, actually. Because what happened was, I really shouldn't talk about this, but it was a very key moment in me getting into music, and I feel like that particular moment kind of changed my life. So I'm going to talk about it anyway. When I was about 14, and I just was starting to get into rock music, I literally only had My Chemical Romance, 3 Days Grace, and Some Bullet for My Valentine, and 4 or 5 songs from a band called I Am Ghost. Oh, I was 15 at the time, because a friend of mine that I met online when I was about 15 told me about them. So I was about 15 at this point. I only had them on my iPod. They were the only rock bands that I had on there. I kind of was I felt kind of betrayed by every single friend that I had for the past 5 years. I just felt so alone and just upset. I didn't know what to do, didn't want to talk about it. As we were leaving one of the meeting days at our homeschool group, I walked out crying. I don't remember exactly what happened, but something happened where I just wanted to leave. So we ended up leaving, and I walked outside, got in the car, put in my earbuds, turned on purposely, I still remember this, Waking the Demon by Bullet for My Valentine. Put my earbuds in, cranked the volume, curled up on the front seat, and honestly just sat there and cried. And I know that sounds pathetic, but what happened was I turned that on and just sort of listened to, it didn't even include My Chemical Romance and I Am Ghost. It was just Bullet for My Valentine and 3 Days Grace. I just listened to them, I remember with Waking the Demon, how that helped was I didn't know the words very well at the time. I couldn't understand him, but I liked the sound of it, so I kept it. I just sort of sat there and focused on what he was screaming. I had no idea. I was trying to figure it out, and I think honestly by the end of the song I felt better. I mean, I still wasn't okay, but I was calm. And the same thing happened 3 Days Grace came on, and I just listened to Adam's voice, and this repeated for probably 20-30 minutes. Like, it was just going back and forth between BFMV and 3 Days Grace. And, honestly, I was so relaxed after that I almost fell asleep. And ever since then, I've turned to music. Every single time I've been upset about something, I've turned to music. Specifically, I can't talk, specifically 3 Days Grace. Because Adam's voice just calms me down. But in the same time era, my whole homeschool group was like obsessed with Over You by Daughtry, and like 2 girls were obsessed with Fall Out Boy, so we all kind of heard them a lot. I had been exposed to rock bands because my parents listened to like classic rock and stuff like that. I just couldn't get into it at first, and I can't talk all of a sudden. I got Fall Out Boy on my iPod. I started looking on YouTube for like related videos, and I was on a site called Neopets at the time, and honestly that's where I started a lot of things. Actually, that's where I started my love of music. That's where I learned to do like HTML and coding and other things like that. That was actually the first time I ever had a website about music or anything. Not music, but it was like kind of music related. I don't know, I did a lot on there, but I remember starting to take suggestions. Like, I'd go on the Neo boards, as they call them, or just chat boards, and ask for suggestions for any kind of rock, metal, whatever. I didn't want pop. That's all I knew I wanted. And people did suggest like pop punk and stuff, and I'm glad about that. I'm getting that. And I remember this one time I asked, somebody suggested Avenged Sevenfold, but they're like, since you're not really into the style yet, I recommend starting with Dear God. And I was like, okay, cool. And I listened to it, and I'm like, this is really pretty, I like it. And then somebody else commented and was like, that is nothing like their style. I recommend listening to A Little Piece of Heaven, or I think the other one was Second Heartbeat that they suggested. And by the way, this was in like 2008, so this was right before the Rev died, I might add. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I listened to it, and I'm like, I'm surprised that I like this, but I like this. And I kind of laugh now because I remember listening to them and going, my mom would hate them. And it's hilarious because they're one of her favorite bands, and we've now seen them twice. And it's just funny how things like that work out. But I also remember, I'd look on YouTube just for fun. Like, I'd go and just start looking out of curiosity at, like, I'd go and look up a video of someone I knew of, and then I'd just follow any of the related videos. And I learned of a lot of bands that way. I discovered, I don't remember if I discovered Mayday Parade through them or a friend of mine, but through Mayday Parade I discovered You Me at 6, and through You Me at 6 I discovered All Time Low. And All Time Low leaves a very weird first impression. The first thing I heard from them was Poppin' Champagne, and I watched the video, and I remember thinking, God, they're weird, there's something wrong with them, why do I like this? They're very talented and kind of cute, but they're weird as hell. It's an extremely accurate first impression, because they are extremely weird and extremely talented. But I also, like, I can't remember how I discovered it, but I also found A Day to Remember like that. How I discovered them was they were related video to something. I can't remember what it was. I wish I could, because that'd be cool. I just saw over on the side, you know, with the related videos on YouTube, that, it just was this, like, it said, A Day to Remember, Since You've Been Gone. And I'm like, hey, Kelly Clarkson has a song called Since You've Been Gone, spelled just like that. And I'm like, cool. So I clicked on it just because I was, like, curious. And was shocked to realize it was her song. I don't think I had actively heard a cover of a song that I had already known. like, I probably did, but I hadn't been fully aware of one. So that was the first cover. I say that's the first cover that I ever heard, because that was the first one I was aware of. And I think at the time they only had their Up to Their Homesick album. Or no, what am I saying? I don't remember which album came first, if it was Homesick or For Those Who Have Heart. I think it was For Those Who Have Heart. But anyway, I ended up listening to them, and I'm like, they're really good too. I like them. Again, I laugh because now I have a tattoo for them. And I don't know how I found some other bands. I don't remember how I discovered, no, I was gonna say I don't remember how I found Escape the Fate, but I guess I do. When I was 16, I met my best friend, Jeremy. You guys have met him. And he was my boyfriend. I think I've told you guys this. He is my ex. And had I not met him, I don't think I would have gotten into music as quickly. I probably would still be slowly getting into it had I not met him. So I thank him so much for who I am. Because I really do say that music is a huge part of who I am, just due to the fact that I connect with so many different artists and lyrics and things. But when I met him, I still could only name like a handful of bands. I liked quite a bit now, and I was more open-minded about it, but I still couldn't name too much. I remember the first time we hung out at his house, he had a whole bunch of CDs just playing, just trying to get me into some stuff, because he is really more into like the heavier stuff, and he was happy to hear that I liked Bull from Valentine, because they were one of his favorites, and I also liked Mayday Parade, and at the time they were one of his favorites too. He still really likes them, but they're not one of his favorites now, I don't think. And I remember him getting me into Escape the Fate, and I remember that I could not tell Ronnie and Craig apart voice-wise. I don't know how, but I can remember him quizzing me. Like, he'd play a song from one album, and then he'd play a song from another album, and be like, which album is it from? And I'm like, I don't know. And he was like, well, that one was from Dying His Earliest Fashion. And I was like, is that Craig? And I know the difference now. Don't yell at me. I was kind of still learning. I was gonna say I was stupid, but no, I wasn't. And, I remember he got me into Escape the Fate, and then, obviously through Escape the Fate I found Falling in Reverse, because obvious reasons. He got me into Ask Alexandria. I actually really didn't like Asking Alexandria at first. That took me a while to get into them. I don't know why. I didn't care. I didn't like them. I liked Not the American Average. That was it for months. And I don't really know how I got into liking them. I just did. Let's see, what else did he get me into? Oh, Black Veil Brides. He actually, by the way, fun fact, I think I might have mentioned this at some point, but I'm mentioning it again. How I discovered Black Veil Brides was he found he might have already known about Black Veil Brides at this point. I don't remember. I'll have to ask him. He found the first Brian Stars interview with Andy, back when he still went by Andy 6, and he showed me this. He's like, you should watch this. It's hilarious. And I'm like, okay. I remember, for some reason, I had known who Andy was. I think I had seen something about him at some point, but I never heard Black Veil Brides, and I'm like, that's interesting. Let's look up their music. And I was impressed. For some reason, Andy scared me, but I don't understand why now, but he kind of gave me the creeps. And that also, him showing me that interview is what made me want to do interviews. I don't know why. I think it's just because that was the first time I'd heard of Brian Stars, too. And that's just sparked so much for me. And I don't know, it's like, I'm trying to really remember how to explain this now. I think that's it, really, is I think I did explain it, and it was mostly internet friends that got me into things, with the exception of Jeremy. And I was around people that liked like Evanescence and I'm trying to remember what other people were really into as well. A lot of people were into Daughtry, Nickelback. Nickelback was big with my homeschool group, actually. I can remember more than once all of us sitting around singing Rockstar. And for a while I really got into, if I heard a song, I would go and get like all of the band's music and then I would just listen to it. And for a while I had quite a bit of things that I didn't like because I would download it all and then just and didn't care, and I wouldn't ever think to delete it. It was sort of things like that where it was like, can I say like enough? I tried a lot of different things and I still do. I'm very interested in getting new music, and I am always up for getting new music. I've come to notice that I, one, suck at naming genres, and two, I think I have finally figured out what my favorite genres are, and I think they are post-hardcore / metalcore. Did I just say two? Because I forgot metalcore, so I'm throwing that in there. And pop punk / pop rock, whatever. Really into those. And as I've mentioned before, my favorite bands are All Time Low, Shinedown, Adam, Kanche, Papa Roach, Pierce the Veil, Mayday Parade. Yeah, I think those are my favorites. I was gonna go on naming a whole bunch, but I know those are my favorites. I'm looking around my room trying to see if I forgot to mention anything. No, I don't know. I keep sitting here wanting to like tell stories of how I discovered bands. Maybe I'll do a series about that. That sounds like fun. Let me know what you think of that. That sounds like fun. I kind of want to do that. Yeah, let me know what you guys think of that, because I really like that idea. So, I'm gonna go now before I continue to ramble on. I'm sorry this was such a long video. I really felt like, talking about this in more detail, because like I've said so many times, music is everything to me. It honestly really is. And, my nose itches. And I don't know. I just feel like talking about it because it's cool to me. I love hearing the stories too of how people got into music, so please share with me. I'm sorry that this doesn't seem like the same energy as the rest of the video. My battery ran out and my camera, my SD card got full, so I had to change the batteries and switch SD cards. So that was a problem. So thank you for watching. I love you guys. Glad I just pull a Destry Moore. I don't know, because I swear that was a Destry Moore thing. I'm gonna go now, like I've just said like 3 times. Goodbye.